everyone, Nova here from Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counselling Service with this week's live streaming Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Q&A broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. It's awesome to have you back, as it is every week. Okay, guys, we have an amazing night lined up tonight with David Demars joining us. So I'm just going to wait till David appears on my screen here. And I'm just going to adjust my camera a tiny little bit because you never know exactly where it's going to sit. Okay, so yeah, as soon as I see David appear, I will let him in. Guys, it's been an amazing, very busy week here at Brighter Outlook, and I've been looking forward to doing this live stream this Thursday night. We had a wonderful night, a bit of an unusual night, doing it on a Friday night last week with my daughter Courtney, talking all about domestic violence. Yeah, I hope that many of you were able to view that and were able to, I guess, gain something from it. Yeah, so tonight David's got a topic lined up for us. It's not just going to be a straight Q&A as it is most weeks. So yeah, I'm just going to have a look and see where David is, so I can click add and he will come on the screen. Already I can see that we've got Mari B. Art is there. Hi Mari. And we've got Paul Davies is there again. Hey Paul, thank you for joining us all the way from the Gold Coast. And we've got the lovely Catherine Walker is there. Hi Catherine. Okay, now David, if you can just, there you are. Now this didn't work last week, David, when I tried to add Courtney just through the comments, because as you know, Facebook likes to throw us a curveball every now and then. Okay, so it seems to be working tonight. Bradley is there from the UK. Hey, Tracy. Says adding. So hopefully he will be on shortly. Adding. Where are you, David? Anyway, oh, there he is. How you going, David?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I'm good. You look like that sunburn has settled down a bit. You've been staying out of the sun?
I have until today. I got a little today.
Oh my goodness, you're hopeless. Yeah, oh, I suppose you got to make the most of it, don't you? Because winter is heading your way. We've just gotten out of it, so we've got the beautiful spring weather here in Oz at the moment.
Nice. Summer's coming. Good weather for you. That's great.
Yeah. I love a nice hot Christmas. Yeah. Okay, David, we've got heaps of people here already, so I'm just going to say a few quick hellos, and then I'm going to let you introduce tonight's topics. So who have we got here? We've got Kerry Savage Bell is there. Hi, Kerry. We've got Evelyn O'Linane from Tasmania, says hi, Nova and David. We got Bex Sargent is there from New Zealand. Hey, Bex. Tanya Scott says hi, guys. We've got Maria Bentley Minogue is there. Hey, Maria. And Maria says it's her first time here. Well, it's awesome to have you, Maria, and hopefully you'll be back here again. We've got Rebecca Kopp here from Sydney, Australia, says hi, Nova and David. And we've got Alison Riggs is there. Alison says, I'm doing better than I turn it around on him. Oh, where's your comment gone? Ask. Yeah, it's not coming up. Ask for money. He blocked me. He was so happy. Yeah, we'll start answering the questions a bit later on, guys. I just want to let David introduce the topic tonight. But yeah, it's awesome to have you here, Alison. We've got Di Kuma is there. Hey, Di. Cindy Horwood, Bayana Sparrow is there. Hey, Bayana. And Alison says she's from Tamworth, another Aussie. Great to have you here, Alison. Okay, David. Yeah, we thought we'd kind of shake things up a bit here tonight. We've just kind of been doing straight question and answer sessions. So do you want to introduce tonight's topic?
Yeah, sure. And we used to do this before. when we were
Yeah,
making videos
we did.
before. And
Yeah,
but
before.
people kind of ask their own questions anyways, and they're welcome to. I thought it'd
Yeah,
just be fun to just kind of different to just kind of add a topic this time. But
yeah,
so
I
I
totally
chose
agree.
narcissist. Yeah, I chose narcissistic parents. Narcissistic parenting basically is the topic I want to choose because it's a huge um, problem for one, but it's most of my clients have narcissist parents, and it really sets them up for disaster in adulthood, big time. Yeah, I think the
Yeah,
biggest problem I've seen is just the sheer lack of autonomy that narcissist parents fail, that they just neglect horribly to help the child have their own autonomy, their own self, to be completely selfless and just giving and never do anything for themselves. Yeah, and it's just extremely damaging in adulthood. And
yeah,
and the other thing is, I know that it's not over when children are adults. The parents could keep on abusing them pretty miserably in adulthood, in their 30s, 40s, 50s. It could last their whole lifetime almost. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Isn't it amazing? And I don't know if this happens with you, David, in your life coaching practice, but I know in my practice, in my counselling practice, that when people come to see me, often it's about the narcissistic abuse. They might be telling me about their partner, their husband, their wife, and then inevitably it gets on to the fact that, oh, by the way, Nova, I think my mother or my father's narcissistic too. So, and it happens all the time where it's kind of, I don't know if it's just that after effect light bulb moment where they go, hang on a minute, this hasn't just started with this narcissistic partner that's come into my life. This was going on way before I met this person, and this looks familiar to me.
And can be extremely difficult to see, to be aware of, because it's your own personal life and your own the people in your own interpersonal relationships. It just makes it harder to identify, big time, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, I guess that word familiar. We we're kind of set up, aren't we? If that's what we know, that's what we're used to when we've been growing up, when our little brains have been, well, they were little, hopefully they're a bit bigger now, but when our brains are still growing and that emotional intelligence is still forming, and that's kind of what's being implanted on your blank slate, that that's the way relationships operate. You have to please me. So we people end up being people pleasers. You have to really beg for my attention. You have to go without unconditional love. If you achieve something, so what? You can do better than that. And all of these, I guess, behaviors that we're role modeled from the most important role models in our life, we look for as, I guess you could say, a template. This is my normal. This is what's familiar to me. And anything else is just going to, in other words, anything that's healthy is going to seem foreign, abnormal, and just kind of weird.
Sure. Yeah. Way easier to be gaslit, right? To be manipulated, right? You're trained for that as you get older. And I wanted to go back to, I think the order that we realize our parents might be narcissistic is, right. It's the person we were dating. Then we realize maybe the people we've dated in the past might be sick or narcissistic, and then we realize that our friends are, some of them maybe, and then all the way back to our family, and it's the last people we realize, oh gosh, maybe my mother or my father is a narcissist.
Yeah.
But it's just so extremely hard to see, and neglect is always the hardest thing for me to show my clients, that when they were neglected in childhood. It's one of the hardest things for me to show them. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are victims of, actually, guys, we call you Adult children of narcissists. So you actually have a name. That's an acronym, isn't it, David? We call you an ACON, adult child of a narcissist. And I believe that they probably suffer, potentially the longest and the worst type of abuse, in that it's been going on since the day they were born. They have been conditioned to meet the needs of the narcissistic parent, to feel obligated to be at their beck and call. There's no a kind of transitioning as we're supposed to do and be encouraged to do into teenage years, where the parent is no longer the most important person on in your life. Your peers are. And that's a normal progression, and it's normal to be really selfish. It kind of, I guess, a bit narcissistic when you're a teenager. It's a bit like when you're a toddler. That's probably the most, the world revolves around the teenager. And it's a normal thing to want to spend time with your friends and go off and do your own thing. But the narcissistic parent will accuse you of being selfish, will have set you up to feel guilty about doing really normal, activities with your friends. Why? Because you're taking your attention away from that parent. You're happy doing something else, and the narcissistic parent is eternally unhappy, and it sets up, I guess, that particularly with, I think, narcissistic mothers and daughters, it sets up that competitiveness where the parent doesn't want to see you happy or achieving anything. Why? Because it reminds them of their own inadequacies and failure to achieve, their grandiose dreams.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. The narcissist has been compared to other people their whole life by their own parents. So as they get older, they compare themselves to their own children. Extremely common, right, for the narcissist to be envious of their own child, right? And I've seen it in just the most amazing things. How a narcissistic father, his son becomes taller than him. It creates all kinds of problems, right? Maybe has a social life that the father didn't have, dating, right? Sports, more athletic, all these things. And it's a real competition with the father and the son as well as the mother and the daughter.
Yeah. Even in relationships, David, how often do we hear? And a lot of the time, I have to actually kind of make it known that this is happening, because, as with all gaslighting, the victim doesn't really even see it happening a lot of the time. A lot of time they do, but a lot of time they don't. But when, what's that? Just come up on my screen. I don't know. Can you see that, David?
No.
Oh, I think it's a comment. Anyway, I just had this big picture take up the screen. Not to worry. David, we hear of the narcissistic parent or parents really sabotaging the marriages, the relationships of their own children. And often it can come under the guise of caring. That person, she doesn't cook good meals for you, or she's not taking care of the kids really well, and just really trying to throw a wedge in there, not because there's anything wrong with your partner, but simply because the narcissist is envious, jealous, and wants to sabotage your relationship, sabotage your happiness.
Or just get involved in the child's relationships, period. Invite the friends over, be in contact with friends, girlfriends, boyfriends behind their back, things like that. Invite them over for functionings, and then judge them. No, I don't like them. You can't see them. You can't do that. I mean, just really no autonomy, right? The child can't make their own choices, essentially.
Yeah. I've even heard of the narcissistic parent engaging in relationships with their child's friends. That's the ultimate kind of triangulation, isolation, betrayal. Yeah.
I've heard the mother getting involved with the daughter's boyfriends, after them.
That's what I was
Steal them. Yeah. Yeah.
There's that competitiveness and setting up the triangulation, and it's just horrendous, horrific.
Yeah. If a parent's starving for attention to the a personality disorder, they'll try to take it from their own children for sure. And instead of the unconditional love, right? They steal that attention from them, from their own friends and stuff like that. And this in unconditional love, if a child doesn't receive unconditional love, then they never feel like they're enough, never good enough. I was never enough. I have to do more and more and more and more to get your
Yeah.
love, get your acceptance. Yeah.
Yeah, it really sets you up for an abusive relationship, doesn't it? A very one-sided relationship where there's a real power imbalance, because you're used to going out of your way to try and get attention, or meet the needs of someone else. So your needs go to the bottom of the pile, and you're forever pleasing someone else. So when you're pleasing someone else and you're never meeting your own needs, you're never happy.
That's right. That's right. It's the ultimate dysfunctional family with the ultimate dysfunctional roles, always with narcissistic parenting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about, like, with regard to parenting? What about trying to manage a, a parenting relationship, if you will, with another narcissistic parent? Have children together?
Oh, you can't, right? I mean, it's called co-parenting when you parent not together, right? You're separate, you're apart, so you're still trying to parent the child together, but you're not married, you're not dating, but you not with a narcissist, is it? What do they call it? Parallel parenting, because it's just another child, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, because we get asked that every week, don't we, David? How do I parent? How do you manage when you've got your ex-partner is a narcissist and you have children together? And I guess people are asking us for co-parenting strategies a lot of the time, and there are none. You cannot co-parent. So I guess you have to get that word out of their vocabulary, because anything that you do which will be in the best interests of the children will only be counter-parented by the narcissist. So you have to work out your own strategies to, I guess, parallel parent. Do your thing on when you've got the children, and not try and get any kind of cooperation. It's like trying to get cooperation from a brick wall, isn't it? Or worse, because the brick wall at least won't be sabotaging your efforts, where a narcissist will.
Yeah, right. Sabotage. Because when you're with a partner and you're committed with them, you both are supposed to be growing together, become better people, and working together to do that. But there's never reciprocation. A narcissist cannot meet your emotional needs. They can't meet their own. They won't meet yours. That relationship is immediately neglectful, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
now you have children, and so it's going to be the same thing. There's no cooperation, like you said. There's no reciprocation, and they aren't trying to cooperate with you with the same common goal, which is the better health of the child. No, it's for that parent, that narcissistic parent, to keep getting attention from the source, the other parent. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think we hear from people, if I, just tell me how to approach them the right way, or ask, in a nice way, that they will give me what I want. And the thing is, there is no correct way to, I guess, ask them for what you want, other than don't. And why I say that is, when first for what we want, if for example, if we say, I need at least $100 more a week in child support. What's the narcissist going to do? They're going to do the opposite. The last thing they're going to do is Oh my goodness, yes, I realize I've been neglectful. Give me your bank account details and I'll put it in now. What we do when we ask for exactly what we want is we hand them a weapon, because then they're like, ha, I know what's going to hurt her or him now, so I'm not going to do it. So we have to find other ways of getting what we want other than asking them straight out. Is it a crazy making way of trying to, get what's the best thing for your children? Unfortunately, yes. But, asking the narcissist for exactly what you want is handing them a weapon, because then you have told them how to hurt you.
That's right. Yeah, you've shown them a vulnerability, right? And narcissists exploit people. They exploit people. People are objects, and I'm going to exploit you and use you for what I get from you, for what I want and need from you. And it continues. It's a horrible thing. You try to get out of this relationship, this nasty bonded relationship where they've manipulated you and exploited you to get what they want from you, and you finally get away from them, separate from them. But the children bind you together, don't they? And what's the biggest vulnerability of a parent? Their children. And they will
Yeah,
exploit these children. They will use these children as pawns to get what they want from you still, to keep getting it. It's
yeah,
awful. Awful.
yeah. So basically, I guess to answer everyone's question when they ask that, how do you manage when you've got a child with a narcissist? It's not easy, and there are no straightforward answers to that. But minimal contact, grey rock, cutting all contact down to an email, not engaging with them face to face where they can gaslight you and intimidate you and press on all those buttons that they have set up to condition you. Have orders where the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, so that there's as little flexibility as possible for the narcissist to make your life hell. And learn to parallel parent, and certainly not let the narcissist know what your vulnerabilities are, and realize that they're going to be coming from a different frame of reference. Trying to have a discussion with them about what's best for the kids. Your frame of reference is going to be, let's these are our children, they need this, let's do what's best for them. The narcissist frame of reference is going to be, how can I use these kids to get a whole plate of narcissistic supply and wind that other parent up?
What's best for me? Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's why that both of you aren't working together for a common goal. Same as the relationship that you're in.
And
Yeah.
it will never be like that. And I think once people can come to that realization, David, that it can bring a little bit of peace, inner peace, knowing that this is the way it is. I am never going to be able to have a discussion, a rational discussion with this person, for the same reason that we could never have a rational discussion when we were together, because they're a toxic narcissist who twists every word I say, creates word salad and projects onto me, and it's just not possible. So I'm going to have to learn how to parent on my own and work out how I'm going to get my needs met, without making myself vulnerable to the narcissist.
Yes. And I think every single parent that has children with a narcissist needs to make a decision at some point and decide, do you want the other parent to be in your children's lives at all? I see very commonly, I'll see the victim, the single parent that tries so hard too for the narcissist to be in the child's life. They believe that that's a good thing. Like, I still want them, I still want the father or the mother to be in my children's life. I still want them to have a father or a mother. I want them to be involved still, and I'm chasing them down and I'm trying, and it's not consistent. Well, maybe that's not the best thing. My opinion is it's not. My opinion is it's better to be out of the children's lives at all. If you're narcissistic, if you are a narcissist with a personality disorder and you're abusive and exploitative, does no good to have your children around them at all, not one time, right?
Yeah, I hear that a lot too, David, where uh, a lot of the time it's the opposite, where the narcissist is never had any or interest in the kids, and all of a sudden that's their property. You're not taking my property away from
Yep.
me. But certainly I've heard of, as you said, people wanting that parent to have something to do with their child, and really trying to make those arrangements so that that parent will have an interest in their child. And I guess I would ask that person, and I do ask that person, to really deeply reflect on their motivation behind, and there's absolutely no judgment here, but really look at your motivation behind why you are really going out of your way to chase this person. Is it just because you want your child to have this other parent in their life, this parent who abused you so horrifically, or is there still a little bit of that trauma bonding there where I guess it's a form of contact, it's a form of satiating that withdrawal from the narcissist.
Maybe it's also subconscious that I want my children to have the attention in their father in their lives that I didn't have. My father was a narcissist. I didn't get the attention or the validation or the approval or the love that I needed. And so I want my children to have that love from their father or mother.
Yeah. At any rate, what you said, I guess, needs to be really, really reflected on, in that you can't force a parent to want to be with their child. You can, I guess there's legal means to force a parent to support your children. Doesn't always work, but there's certainly legal means available. But you can't force that parent to want to partake in your child's life. And if you are, what sort of role model are they going to be for that child when they're just coming and going, and their interest is purely fitting in it for them and their lifestyle?
Yeah, I've seen the exact damage it does to have one narcissistic parent coming in and out of the lives of the children for just brief moments at a time. I've seen it's extremely damaging, and you know, and I understand the other parent, believing that at least, hey, they're not really involved in the child's life much at all. And it's like, well, that's extremely damaging still.
Yeah. And how much energy is that draining from the non-abusive parent, trying to create that relationship between the narcissist and their child that could be put into their self-care? Because, as we say every week, your children don't want a perfect parent, but they surely want a happy one.
That's right. Yeah. And I think it'd be fun tonight if anybody has questions about the family roles and dysfunctional family roles that children play growing up,
Yeah, with regard to roles such as scapegoat child, the golden child.
All depending on the attention. Yeah, what type of attention am I receiving from my narcissistic parent, right? Am I being pushed to overachieve? Am I being pushed aside? And am I a secret? Am I the bad kid? Everything I do is bad. Everything I do is wrong. Everything I do is great, wonderful. These are all decided by the narcissistic parent.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone has their role, don't they? And it's all designed to meet the needs of the narcissist who's at the top of that pyramid.
Yep. And it's a real training for your future relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, David, well, we might start answering some questions. Can you see the questions from your end tonight?
I can't on my screen.
You can't? Okay.
No.
Okay, let me see who's there.
To do that, but no.
Okay, we've got Catherine Walker is there. Hey, Catherine. Catherine says, my dad is a narcissist. My mum is an empath. Things growing up, so never left him. She is trauma bonded after many years. She knows now what he is, but he's elderly now and frail. Yeah, and I guess that's what happens, isn't it, David? Is that you become so, what's the word I'm looking for? So it institutionalized, almost like a prisoner who's been in jail so long. It's scary. You know, I've heard of that where prisoners go out and reoffend just to go back to prison because it's scary on the outside with what they don't know. So the longer people stay in these abusive relationships, I guess it is harder to get out because of that familiarity and because they've been conditioned and institutionalized.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Just like a prisoner can't reassimilate in society if they've been gone for too long, the narcissistic parent-child can't really navigate in society very well. You know, besides lots of self-doubt, they're selfless, right? They form this role where they don't get anything they need or want. It's awful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, enough neglect, enough childhood neglect, we can become socially inept, where we can't even carry on much of a conversation yet, communicate what we need and want. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned the trauma bonding, um, Catherine. Yeah, obviously she's been with him for such a long time, and you know the victim is always, you know, an empath. So gets to that stage of life where the narcissist is elderly and frail. You know, the empath, you know, is never going to, well, you know, it's highly unlikely to leave that elderly, frail person alone to fend for themselves, because that's just not part of their nature.
I'm sorry too. I feel so sad for the mother. An
Yeah,
entire lifetime of no self, of no autonomy, right? All the whole life spent for someone else. And when we lose ourselves in relationships with narcissists, imagine what happens after decades of that. It just they stay together. I think there's a certain point you cross, and it's they don't leave each other. Become
yeah,
so dependent. Yeah.
yeah. Dependent either, I guess, both ways. The
Yeah.
narcissist has conditioned the trauma bonded victim to be obligated to them, to meet their needs, to feel guilty if they don't meet their needs, and so the empath becomes dependent on the narcissist for any kind of validation, their self-worth. They're totally seeking their self-worth from the narcissist. And the narcissist, clearly, when they're elderly and frail and they've burnt so many bridges in their life, and they've got no friends, possibly no other family left, they're dependent on the empath, the victim, but they're still, even when they're elderly and frail, there is still that power imbalance because of years and years and years of conditioning.
Right. And that is also the role for the child, right? The the lady asking the question, that was her mother. That is her role. That's how she learned how to be a mother. That's what a good mother is, and a good wife is to stay with the husband, the narcissist husband, no matter what, be selfless.
Yeah,
And I mean, huge cycle just keeps repeating itself. Yeah.
yeah, it would be interesting to know, like, clearly, Catherine, you're here. Well, I guess we shouldn't assume, but perhaps because you've had a narcissistic partner, and now you're talking about your narcissistic father, and I'm just wondering whether, you know, there's been this generational kind of cycle going on where your mother came from a dysfunctional family as well, where there was another narcissistic parent, and this cycle is just ongoing.
Well, she said my mom's an empath, and typically that means in childhood I was neglected pretty bad, to where I'm introverted and more in tune with other people's emotions than mine, maybe. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Who else have we got? We've got Tracy Bradley is there. Hey, Tracy. Tracy says, I'm trying to heal after finally realizing my step father was a narcissist. I'm 48 and only all clicked after stepfather died 2.5 years ago. Why did it take me so long to realize? David, 2.5 years after he died.
Yeah, well, it's just self-examination. It's a difficult thing for everybody to do. It just really is. It's easier for me to look at my clients' lives. Maybe it's easier for my clients to look at my life than myself. That's the way it works. Um, trying, like I said earlier, trying to show somebody if they were neglected in childhood, to try to show them that is extremely difficult for them to look inside and say, hey, this is what I missed. And I think that's a big part of narcissistic parenting. It's not just emotional abuse, it's emotional neglect. So the emotional abuse you might be aware of, maybe not even entirely, because emotional abuse, you don't see it, you don't hear
Yeah,
it, right? You
yeah,
you just feel it. It's that invisible abuse, right? And if that's normal from childhood, we don't know any different. You know what I
and
mean?
yeah, exactly. And we've had, our idea of, what a happy, normal, functioning family is very distorted. It's based on what we know, and often the child will, or the adult child of the narcissist, will reason with, but, things like, but they took me to the beach on a holiday, and they joked around with me at, on these occasions, and at these occasions they were nice. And what are we hearing here? We're hearing that cognitive dissonance going on, where they're rationalizing or minimizing the abuse away because there was these few, good times. So, those, I guess, when you're a child and you are being neglected, just say you do get taken to the beach. I'm just using this as an example. That's going to really stand out, isn't it? It's going to be, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. We're going to the beach. This is so special. That's what's going to stand out in your memory, as opposed to things like you said that are kind of invisible, like emotional neglect and always having the goalpost shifted when you try to achieve something. It's, yeah, we look at those few times and we think, but they were nice. They were nice
But
on those occasions.
and I hear two things all the time from children of narcissists is I got everything I needed, everything. I had the best clothes, I went to the best schools, we had a nice house, nice car, and my mom and dad looked happy. They seemed happy, they smiled, they had fun. And the other one I hear is everybody else likes them, right? So if everybody likes my parents, they're not bad. They're good. They're good people. So what they do is good to me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I hear
that's
that all the
so.
time.
And there's that, uh, not feeling comfortable in talking out about it. His mum or dad, appearing, at I don't know, the charity queen or king, and, always there for everyone else and appearing like this amazing person. And people are saying to you things like, wow, you've got such an amazing, mother or father. How do you feel comfortable in coming out and saying, well, no, they're not. At home is terrible.
Yeah, especially if the parents are saying my child's bad. I have a bad child. Telling people this. That's extremely common. A great way to take away a child's security, emotional security, is talk bad about them, right? And that sets us up to accept these kinds of things as we get older too.
Yeah. And there's that loyalty there too, that all kids have. That loyalty to their parent, where if their parents are toxic or not, they love their mum and their dad. And to speak ill of them is, I guess, just the ultimate betrayal to a child who has so much loyalty to that parent. So they hold on to that abuse. So, Tracy, for you to not actually be totally cognizant of the abuse till 2 years after he had died, and I guess we should also look at the fact that there's 2 years no contact. You're out of the fog for 2 years. You're able to, just be out of that fog where you've got that obligation and that guilt and that loyalty to that parent. It's going to be easier to see. The blinders are going to start to come off with regard to the abuse.
Yeah, it's set up so perfectly. If the child never got what they needed, they don't know they're missing it. If the child never got to voice what they want or got what they want, it's okay if they don't get it, right?
Yeah.
The value system is instilled in the child by the narcissistic parent. This is what's important to you. Okay, all right. It's just set up perfectly for the child to not get anything they need, to be completely selfless. And so we don't know we're missing anything. And on the surface, it looks great. Yeah. Mhm. And if we go by what I need, by my emotions, the narcissist parent doesn't it teaches the child not to accept parts of themselves, right? So even when the parent makes the child feel bad, they taught the child to feel bad about their own emotions, to ignore how they feel if it's bad, to feel embarrassed of their emotions, to feel guilty, right? Oh, I want to leave my parents. That's guilt. I can't. There's the loyalty, because that's a guilty feeling. I can't feel that. That's not right. That's wrong.
Yeah, and that goes on
Mm-hmm.
right through to adulthood, and those toxic parents. They will they will cash in on the fact that they gave birth to you. They put a roof over your head, and you owe them, and they're going to cash in on that debt. You owe them. There's a big debt there, and
Mm-hmm.
children feel like or adult children of narcissists feel like that obligation has been set up their entire life.
That's right. The more conditional attention still.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love you anyways.
exactly. Just, oh gosh, won't let me open this question. I'm going to keep trying. Okay. Alison Riggs is there. Alison says, David, my question is, do us women have a sign or sometimes that we attract a narcissist? Yeah. Do women? I guess what Alison is saying is, do we like attract them? Is there something that we're doing, or are we giving a sign that is attracting narcissists into our life?
Yeah, being more emotionally attentive to other people than maybe yourself. That's usually taught by your parents. The more not be in tune with what you want and need, be in tune with what the parent wants and needs. Even
Yeah.
a sense of parentification. I'm here to take care of you and people around me first before myself. Because that's what the narcissist is looking for. The narcissist is looking for somebody to be completely selfless, to be there for me, for me, for me. And and and
Absolutely.
and if somebody has this void, if a person didn't get the attention or the love that they needed from their parents, they have a void. If they haven't learned to fill that yet themselves, that narcissist can just step right in. It's just easy. They're looking for it. We are looking for that. We need that. We didn't learn how to do it ourselves. We need somebody to do that for us. Here comes along a narcissist that will give us all the attention. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're perfect. You're the best person in the world, right on that pedestal. There's all the attention you didn't receive for 20 years, 30
Yeah.
years. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, often they're looking, Alison, for that wounded soul, that's that person who is like, I guess David was talking about, who is extremely vulnerable, and the narcissist wants to know about your wounds. They want to know about what hurts you have had in the past, who's hurt you before, what's missing, what void you have, so that they wounds open and create further wounds and use those wounds against you.
and these are things that we share. These are things that we share in common. You know, we aren't that far away from the narcissist in the sense that we've probably been neglected and abused in childhood, just like they most likely have too. And so these are things that a narcissist identifies with. This is something that we identify with. Another person who's been through something similar, who's had a childhood that is a childhood that has hurt, a childhood that has been neglectful, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, we date our own emotional self-worth. We attract people with similar problems or things that we identify with. And that's a big identifier: emotional pain, suffering, and neglect. Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess sometimes there's narcissists out there who just like the challenge of tearing someone down who's very, very confident. A lot of the time they are looking for that vulnerable, wounded soul. But yeah, I guess, David, sometimes just for the hell of it, they're out there trying to rip down and tear down extremely confident, outgoing people simply for that challenge and to destroy what once was a very confident person. That certainly does happen.
To conquer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if they have such a void inside and they don't have any clue how to fill it. And most narcissists they've had a value system instilled in them by their parents that is just completely based on what? Appearance and style, right?
Mm.
Right. I got to conquer. I need more women on my notches. I need the unattainable person. I need to get them. I need to get the married woman, right, and
Yeah.
steal her from her husband. Things like this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess those types of narcissists that just simply love the challenge they have. They just, yeah, I guess they've got so many notches on their bedposts with regard to, seeking out married people, successful people, people they just want to tear down, confident people. They've got so many notches on their bedposts. It's kind of whittled down to a toothpick. It's all about just bringing people down simply because it's fun, the satisfaction they get in destroying someone else, probably who they see as non-deserving of what they have.
Yeah, right. That empty pit they have because this is the lowest self-esteem. We're talking about narcissists, lowest self-esteem. And so ego is what they identify with. That's the outside. I want to be better. I can sleep with the women that this high status woman or the unattainable person. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. We got Bertha Hawko is there from Canada. Hey, Bertha. Okay, let me just open this one up. Okay, we got Tanya Scott is there. Tanya says, sabotaging relationships by causing endless chaos. Always, I'll threaten suicide, causing so much stress that you are not yourself with your partner. Focus always put to them instead of own life and relationship. Yeah, absolutely, Tanya. And that's a big one, isn't it, David, with regard to what Tanya mentioned in the threatening of suicide. When you leave them, the ultimate to get you to not go, and very, very manipulative, because to an empath, you say that to an empath as if they're going to stand by and do nothing. So it's kind of the ultimate line, isn't it? You leave me, I'm going to kill myself.
It's horrible emotional blackmail.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you suggest, David, if, and obviously this happens a lot, if the narcissist says that and you're trying to stay away or get away, what's your advice to the victim of the abuse?
Well, what's important to remember is this. I mean, this doesn't happen once. Anybody that's told me this says that it's happened over and over again. So we have to start understanding we can't have people. I mean, that's the ultimate unstable person, right? They're going to kill themselves. And we take threats serious, that threat at least. And it's just, God, it's just such a hard thing to get a victim to understand that we aren't responsible for this person, because that's where that comes from. They don't do that right away. They do that after a long time of being committed and invested. And now the victim has been parentified, feels responsible for them. And so, the threat of I'm going to harm myself, hurt myself, I feel bad even
Yeah.
sometimes I'll need to say, and we're there right there to help them. And how can I make you feel better? But what do I suggest? I mean, suicide in most countries is illegal. So you report that crime. And so if I'm going to threaten, if I'm going to, hey, I'm going to go rob a bank, you would call the police, right? And say, hey, this guy's going to rob a bank. You know, I'm going to hurt somebody else. If I'm going to tell you I'm going to hurt somebody else, you may want to call the police and have me stopped. Well, it's the same thing. I'm going to hurt myself. It's a crime. And the responsibility we have is to try to stop this crime, not so much I'm going to help this person, because we can't. And this is just a horrible emotional blackmail. Somebody
Yeah.
that threatens us over and over again, we got to take it seriously. But at the same point, we can't stop it. We don't know how.
Yeah. I guess I would add to that in that, I guess from my perspective, I would say same outcome, call the police, but more to help yourself in that you've done everything you can, because we can't just ignore that, can we? A lot of most of the time it's too hard. We would simply not be able to live with that if they actually did something. So I guess my suggestion would be, yes, call the police, call an ambulance, but do it so that you've done everything you can. You've sent the paramedics to that address. There's nothing more you can do, and step back and let the authorities do their job, because, yeah, as David said, it's extremely manipulative, but it works because no one wants to stand back and have that on their shoulders, that on their conscience.
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah, and that debt that you talked about before, it's the same debt that we feel we have with somebody that's going to hurt themselves, and we care about them. And it goes to, it's about emotional responsibility. This person has put on the responsibility to the victim for so long now. The victim feels responsible for what the narcissist does or what they threaten to do, how they feel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the ultimate, I guess, kind of victim statement, in that they're seeking sympathy, and a lot of the time you do. It's like, oh my goodness, they're so sad. They're this sad that they're thinking of killing themselves. I need to go and look after them, because they're saying I'm the only one that can save them.
And that's the ultimate emotional danger that you could be in. That is one of the most worst emotionally dangerous situations you can find yourself in. And that's why I said we have to realize this and start sensing danger and, say, I can't put myself in that position ever again. And when you can't have a relationship with them anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, who else have we got here? We got Jess Maynard is there. Hey, Jess. And we've got Tina Billups is there. Hi, Tina. Tina says, thank you for sharing your insight. I find this very interesting as a student of counselling and psychotherapy in England. Oh, my goodness. I'm glad that you're here, Tina, and I'm so glad that David and I were able to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've got Lee Andrews there. Hi, Lee. Okay, we've got Donna Butler is there. Hi, Donna. Donna says, my ex-narcissist has just started a relationship with a woman with the same name as me. WTF. Does she look like me? A little bit. What next from this monster? Wow. Yeah. Look, I don't know whether that's a coincidence, but certainly we hear of it a lot, Donna, in that not all the time, but quite often they will find someone who's similar looking to you, same color hair, same color eyes, maybe they wear glasses just like you, or maybe same build, but certainly not all the time. But why do they do this? There's lots of reasons to, I guess, because that's their taste, maybe, but perhaps to hurt you, to go for someone who's similar to you, but different. Anything you can bet the narcissist is doing is about them, and certainly when they pick a new target, it's about hurting you. and love bombing the new target. And what a great way, I guess, David, to triangulate when the two targets, primary and secondary, look alike. What a
Yeah,
great
sure,
way
right.
to set up comparisons and things like that, especially if they've got the same name.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, look, every human being grieves loss, okay? And that depends on a lot of things, right? But the thing is, as narcissists, they don't care who they are inside. They're all ego. Anybody who doesn't have a stable sense of self at all, they tend to not care about who you are either. That means easily replaceable. So they don't look at us as humans. We're exploited as objects, and objects have a function. It's about what we are. So, what am I? I'm a white male, 40 something, American. And so that to a narcissist, that's all I am. And what I provide for them, that's it. So that's why it's just too easy for them to just get rid of you and just write to another one. Replace, replace, replace. They never got to know who you are. But still, anything that takes up time and space in our life and is gone, it's time to grieve. And this is how they deal with grieving. This is how they do it. They just replace in sight what visually I saw. I just replace that, and then I get what
Yeah.
I needed from this person again, and that's what they do. So I see it. So this is actually really common, really common. They'll take their new partner and they'll take him to the spots that you guys used to go to. They'll even take pictures, the same pictures, and put them on Facebook. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And you're just like, oh my God, are they doing this to me on purpose?
Yeah,
Maybe,
they
but
are.
yeah,
They
maybe
are.
they are doing it on purpose. Yeah, but really they're reliving their loss, right? And they're going to do it exactly the same way. And that's their personality disorder. It's rigid. They don't change. And that shows you the relationships are always the same too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll even take you on the holidays that they promised you, or
Yeah.
the same holidays that you went on. And how painful is this for, the
The
old source?
the place that you guys were going to get married at for 12 years, you talked about this country you're going to get married at, and they break up with you, find somebody else, married within 3 months, and here's the photos of the place that you guys were going to go for. Nothing original,
Yeah.
right? Right.
Yeah, there's so many, I guess, angles to it. The unoriginal originality that you speak of. But I believe that just wanting to stick it to the old partner, and that you weren't important enough to follow, but this person is so much better than you are. They're so much more special because I took the time, and I wanted to go to these places and do these things with this partner, because
And
it's
I've known them
terribly
for three
painful.
months. Yeah, and
Sorry.
I've known you for 3 years, but I've known this person for 3 months, and they're just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And they're worth it. You weren't worth it.
Mm.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
does this and
Showing
what is
you your work. Yeah. From a distance.
absolutely, and this just perpetuates that shame that victims feel when they're discarded, in that there's something wrong with me, because they're engaging with this new person. They're taking them all on, to all these special places. I wasn't important enough to them, and they're already feeling that shame because they've been discarded in such a horrific manner. And the narcissist is so happy now with someone else, and it just perpetuates that shame. The fact that that abusive partner seems to be so much happier with that person, and so eager to stick to their promises that they never did with you.
Right. Going back again to never good enough. You were never good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We've got Anna Daly is there. Hi, Anna. Okay, we got Cinnamon Harry is there. Cinnamon says, what happens when they were taught to hate you? It's so hard to get that respect from them. Not sure who you're talking about, Cinnamon, with regard to you were taught to hate them. What do you think, David?
Is he asking about narcissist
Yeah,
hating you?
it's not
I don't
really
know.
talking about parents or the partner or children. What happens when they were taught to hate you? It's so hard to get that respect
Oh
from
yeah, yeah.
them, maybe the children.
Well, this is inside. This is inside. We treat people how we feel about ourselves, right? Somebody that hates and hates and hates, they hate themselves. And if and narcissists hate themselves, and when they hate themselves, they're gonna hate things that get closer to them.
Yeah,
Objects, my life, my job, people, my best friend, my lover, right? And that's where the
yeah,
biggest problems surface is in relationships as you get closer. As you get closer to a narcissist, they hate you.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, and if you're referring, Cinnamon, to perhaps children, what happens when they're taught to hate you? Maybe just referring to the other parent. This is parental alienation, and this is something that the narcissist loves to engage in, just simply to hurt you. The children are irrelevant; they're just collateral damage in their goal to hurt you. And this is where you're going to need lots of support, counselling for those children, making the boundaries and rules very clear in your house hold. But yeah, I would suggest, if that's what you're referring to, definitely some counselling and therapy for the children around that parental alienation.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what he was referring to. Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's good advice too. Hmm.
Okay. Okay, we've got Kerry Savage Bella's there. Hey, Kerry. Kerry says, my husband has started a relationship with a new supply that looks just like his ex. He still holds a light for. He's only done that because the ex blew him off and said no way after he tried getting, let me just open yours up, after he tried getting back with her last year. Okay, so there's another example, David, where the narcissist has found a new supply that looks exactly like the ex.
Right. I'm not going to grieve. I'm just going to replace. Same thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
same. What is it? It's like just getting a different model, in a car or a PlayStation or something.
A
That's
trade in. A
what we
trade in.
are.
And a trade
Yeah,
in for an upgrade. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I guess as we were talking about, there's a few different angles there around getting someone who looks similar, but certainly that's the model. Let's just get a different model, trade it in. That one's playing up. It's not giving me enough in return for what I'm putting out, and money and energy and all that kind of thing. He's basically not getting enough narcissistic supply back. I need a new one, new model, replaced.
And they're playing into that false hope as well that they built up. They put you on that pedestal, and now you have no value to them, but they still have that hope. Oh God, they could have been good. They could have been. They were great in the beginning. They think that too, right? And now they get to go back to that dream. Well, now this is perfect. I'm gonna have you now. This is what I wanted. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like a new drug still. It's like the drug that didn't get me high anymore, that stopped working. Now it goes back to working again. It feels good again. It's somebody new, but it's still the old hope that this relationship will work out and be great for me. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Okay. Um, we've got Rebecca Kopp says, tell them the opposite of what you want. Yeah, I think, Rebecca, you're probably referring to not telling the narcissist exactly what you want, in that they're going to do the opposite. Yeah, you have to work out your strategies around, how do I get what I want from them? Because certainly going, please, sir, can I have this? Or please, ma'am, can I have this? They're going to go take a flying leap. And no, you're not going to get what you want. So we have to work out how to get our own needs met. And often there's a lot of manipulating the manipulator. I call it, that needs to happen there. Yeah.
Don't give them the carrot, huh?
Yeah. Don't tell them how to hurt you. You need to keep that very close to your chest. Yeah.
And that's something that parents didn't teach us to do, right? To be vulnerable and be safe at the same time.
That's the thing. Yeah. And the narcissist is, that's why they are who they are with regards to having no empathy or remorse and being just those cold, callous machines, is because to have empathy and to have remorse is to be vulnerable. It's to put yourself out there and possibly get hurt.
That's right. Yeah, big difference, right, between the narcissist and the victim. The narcissist never vulnerable, the victim too vulnerable.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Okay, we've got Kelly Robson is there. Hi, Kelly. Kelly says, is it possible to have a successful marriage with a narcissist? It defines successful. Is it possible to stay married to one? Absolutely. Do you want to be happy? If you want to be happy and that's your definition of successful, then I would say no. What do you think, David?
I agree. Yeah, I put it as the elements, the recipe for a healthy, functioning, growing, loving relationship, I believe, are three things. And that's both of you have to share and value the same morals, right? And 10 emotional needs, about 10, need to be met for both. And we do that by communicating and being vulnerable. So can you do that with a narcissist? Well, as long as you value the same morals as you do, and it depends on what your emotional needs are, right? And I don't know how you're going to get them to be vulnerable. That's the one thing they won't do. They won't be vulnerable. And they never were taught how to communicate effectively. So I don't think it'll ever work.
Yeah. And I guess it kind of depends on what your version of happiness is too, and what is your threshold for happiness. I mean, are you happy with never having your needs met? Are you happy with absolutely no sincere compassion and empathy from your partner? Are you happy with someone whose life is always about them and having their needs met? And narcissistic rages, being gaslighted all the time, never knowing where you stand in the relationship, being made to feel insecure all the time, so that you will stay. Not staying because you feel secure and happy, but staying because you feel like you are so insecure that you won't be happy with anyone else, or you're not good enough to be happy with anyone else. If you're happy with all of those things, then I guess your relationship could be successful. But I don't know who would.
Yeah, I think if you don't have your emotional needs met, then we're sick. And a relationship won't work if we're sick, right? And emotional abuse, it causes disease long term. So will a relationship work? No.
No, you'll never be happy. And yeah, who wants to be in a marriage where you're never you never feel loved or feel like that person has your back, that you can be vulnerable and not have your vulnerabilities used against you.
Right. And I've seen people, victims, say, I don't care. I don't care if I don't get my needs met. Screw it. And you can do that, but then you're sick. You don't have what you need. You don't have security. You don't have privacy. You don't have autonomy, your own self. And that's the biggest thing in a relationship with a narcissist. You can't have yourself. There's no room for you. There's no room for what you want, what you need, how you feel, your opinion, and what you value. No room for any of that. Selfless. Completely throw yourself out of the equation.
Yeah. Okay.
It would be a choice you do purely probably for addiction, dependency. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I always say is to, if you're, if that's the way you're feeling and the way you're talking, then I really, really want you to, I ask people to really reflect, really dig deep and reflect on what is actually the motivation for staying in that relationship.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And often it will be that addiction, that trauma bonding, and that low self-worth that's been um, conditioned there.
Yeah, a major emotional need we have, and a major emotional need that relationships require is like a meaning, a purpose. What is it? Is this relationship going somewhere? Is it stagnant? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we got Megan Kirk is there. Hi, Megan. Megan says, recent separation from husband, 2 weeks, 6 years. I've tried to leave numerous times, with always being roped back in with broken promises. Yeah, and that's, I guess that's what we call hoovering, Megan. And it's really hard to resist the hoover when you're that vulnerable. You know, when you've been married to someone, when you have with someone, it's very hard to resist the hoover and to, I guess, resist going back to what is familiar and kind of safe. And there's so many reasons people go back to these relationships. But certainly, unless you go grey rock, minimal contact, and that abuser has the capacity to jump back inside your head all the time, you will go back. And it really takes an absolute commitment to stay away from them, and lots of support, doesn't it, David?
Yeah, it sure does. That's the best time to hire support. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't do something by yourself and you keep making the same mistake and you're not quite sure what to do. And yeah,
Yeah. And it's got the one thing I want to, I guess, reiterate is that it's got nothing to do with weakness. You know, I hear so many people go, I'm so useless, I'm so weak, I keep going back, I keep going back. And this is just extending the victim blaming. This is not, you go back not because you're weak, but because of the strategies that the narcissist uses, and because of the trauma bonding. This is an addiction, and it is it is a very powerful addiction, and it takes lots of support and commitment to stay away from that which we're addicted to.
yeah, and I think that's a huge sign that you were neglected in childhood, that we weren't taught what to do in emotional danger. We weren't taught to remove ourselves from it. We were taught to stay in it. This causes hopelessness and helplessness and not being able to leave bad emotional situations, relationships,
Yeah,
going back
stay.
to them. Keep putting your hand on that hot burner and not getting it. Yeah.
Yeah, we were taught also that abuse and love go together. They go together. So I'll just go back, and this is my normal, this is my familiar, and you know, I haven't yet got strategies to be able to survive on my own anyway. And the narcissist keeps, you know, trying to suck me back in. It's too hard. It's too hard,
Yeah,
and the what we go back to is too familiar, and it feels safe,
that's right.
and it
Yeah, I
feels
think
like
a lot
home.
of it, yeah, I think a lot of that is attachment trauma, big time.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. We might answer. Who else have we got here tonight? Oh, we've got Chris Shields is there. Hi, Chris. Chris says, I find it hard to be strong now. He's saying how regretful he is and wanting me back. Why do I feel so mean when I'm cold to him? Why do you feel so mean, Chris? Because I feel mean when someone's crying in front of me, telling me they need me, and that, you know, that makes me feel awful because I'm an empath. So this is what you have to realize, is this person is extremely manipulative. They've set you up to be vulnerable to, when they cried, or when they say they love you, they miss you, they're going to change. These are all strategies the narcissist uses hoover you back in. And what a great way to hoover you back in, and to say, you know, I'm sorry, I know I was a bad person, and I love you, and I miss you, and shed a few crocodile tears. And it's going to be hard for you not to feel mean, and this is why we don't put ourselves in that position.
Yeah, going back to emotional responsibility, which we are only for ourselves. Look at how you feel. Think about it. Feel be in touch with all these emotions you have and how bad they are for you. And you
Yeah,
control this and you take care of this, not them. They need to take care of how they feel, and they're putting it on you. And you're accepting this responsibility as a conditioned response.
yeah.
Get
And
support.
absolutely. And the other thing to remember is they don't feel bad the same way you feel bad. They feel bad because they've lost their power and control over you. They feel bad for themselves. They feel bad because you've taken away that energy, that narcissistic supply that you were giving them. That's why they're crying. They're not crying because of any lost love. And I know that's an awful thing to say, and it makes you feel awful, but we're talking about, I guess, the emotions of a robot here, in that they want you back so that they can put you through another round of abuse. They can punish you for leaving them the last time. That the next discard is going to be even more horrific. And I need to pull out the big guns here. I need to shed some tears and really, really, you know, it almost brings to mind, David, I don't know if you've seen that movie, seen Shrek, where you see that the picture of Puss in Boots, and he's like sitting there with the, you know, the big, the little soft little pussycat who wouldn't hurt anyone. And that's what the narcissist does. They play the victim because they're dealing with you as an empath, and they want to suck you back in and manipulate you. So yeah, you've been conditioned. It's this dance that the empath and the narcissist do together. You've been conditioned to fix and heal them, and they've been conditioned to use you up to boost their ego. So yeah, don't fall for the bait.
Go with your own emotions. And the most and single important emotional need we have is emotional security. They've taken that away. They've hurt you. And until they reassure you, anybody that hurts you, till they reassure you 100%, they're not allowed back in your life. That they'll never do it again. That they'll never, ever, ever hurt you that way ever again. And until then, they're not allowed to be close to you and vulnerable to do that again. Until they reassure you, they never will. And it doesn't just take this. It takes time. It takes action.
It
Okay?
take not just one action. You know, it's
Yeah.
easy to say, oh yeah, I'm going to counselling, and book in for one session.
Yep.
It's not just anyone can change their actions once or twice even. It's consistent change, consistent patterns of behavior which reflect their true, sincere apology, and that they are actually willing to change. You will never get that from a true narcissist. If that's happening, they're not a narcissist.
And it's just like if somebody hits you, why would you get within distance of them to hit you again until you're totally reassured they'll never ever hit you again?
Yeah.
That's what a boundary is, right? Emotional boundary. You've hurt me. I'm going to stay back here to where you can't hurt me again until I feel safe. You want back in my life? I'm going to be 100% reassured that will never happen again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here we're talking about boundaries to a victim of the narcissist. Yeah. All new stuff.
Exactly. Okay, David, we might just answer a couple more before we wrap it up for tonight.
Okay.
So have we got here? We've got Karen Van Werdum is there. Hi, Karen. And we've got Evie Archie is there. Hey, Evie. Okay, we've got Laurie Rodriguez is there. Hey, Laurie. Let me just very carefully open yours up. My mother was a narcissist. My ex is a narcissist. I recently got involved with someone who came on strong. But after 3 months, text me that he's gone back with his ex. He treated me well and we had a strong sexual chemistry. I did get attached, and now I'm so depressed I can barely function. He wasn't abusive when we were together. Could he be a narcissist?
Here's a very common statement I hear from people that are in relationships with someone where there was no love. The person didn't love them. The sex was really great. That's a statement from a person that was in a relationship with another person that didn't love them. Commonly, it's just very common. I'm not saying always.
Yeah.
So if is that what's important to you? Because we tend when we're with narcissists, we tend to lose what we value, really value, right? Like honesty, integrity, respect, self-respect. We really value these things. I don't think you value sex more than that. But here we are. Here we are saying the sex was really good. And I don't think that's what you really want and need and value in a relationship, is it? You didn't say the love was really good. The love making is the sex. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a strong sexual chemistry, so I'm assuming it was good. You know, there was a chemistry there. It made you feel good. Look, someone being an a-hole does not necessarily mean they're a narcissist. Someone who's just selfish, out for themselves, arrogant, doesn't necessarily make them a narcissist. There's that total lack of empathy, that grandiosity, superiority going on there. Could he have been? Absolutely. You may have, I guess, what we call dodged the proverbial bullet there. But certainly if the relationship started off with that kind of big a bang, then normally they end with just as big a bang, don't they, David? In that normal healthy relationships start off, in a timely manner where you get to know each other, and when there's that absolute intensity at the beginning and that massive chemistry, it not only do we find that they end that way, but they also set you up in that this is, and I hear this all the time, David, I'm sure you do, in that, oh, Nova, I want to get into another relationship, but I'm really scared that I'm never going to be in love like that again, because that person equates that absolute intensity and all those fireworks going off and that massive chemistry that they felt sexually or intellectually, in whatever capacity it was. They want that intensity, that absolute I don't know, just that passion and intensity, that massive roller coaster. They want that in the next relationship, and they're scared they're never going to be at the top of that roller coaster again. And that sets you up for failure in other potentially healthy relationships, because that intensity is normally based on toxicity rather than true commitment and potential love. Love is about, we don't go out there and meet someone who's the love of our life. We go out there and we meet someone that this is my belief anyway, that we want to build love with. Just someone where you want to start from scratch and you want to build love with. And if it's you've got that kind of intensity from the word go, it can often be a very big red flag.
Yeah. We all idealize, all of us. And if we don't have a strong sense of who we are before we enter relationships, and we know exactly what we value and what we want and what we need, we veer off the path with people that we don't really want and need, and we lose ourselves completely. Yeah.
Yeah. And if that's something that we're kind of is a goal of ours to have that intensity again, then we're always going to find ourselves in toxic relationships, aren't we? Because that's how they start, with that massive bang, and you in each other's pockets right from the word go, and they're texting you 10 times a day. They can't stay away. That intensity is as I said before, normally based on toxicity rather than true intimacy and compassion.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, the beauty of a relationship is getting to know somebody, not getting as committed as we possibly can,
Yeah.
as fast as we can. Yeah. That's a lot of fears, right? Fear of abandonment, fear of inadequacy, fear of, that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we've got Maxine Green is there. Hi, Maxine. Okay, we'll just answer one more before we go. We've got Michelle Gammon is there. Hi, Michelle. Charlie Worthington's there. Hi, Charlie. And Kaz Carlton is there. Hey, Kaz. And we've got Sky Pickard is there. Hey, Sky. Let me just find another question, David, before we go. There's lots of people saying thank you. Okay, Maxine says, my ex smashed my windscreen last week and the so-called police tell me have I got evidence? Oh, yes, I do. What a silly question. They don't help us. Unfortunately, there's often not enough help there from the police, and sometimes we have to, well, not sometimes, all the time, we need to jump up and down and say, hey, I'm here, do something. This happened. I'm not going to walk in with a bloody nose and black eyes and broken ribs before you do something and a threat that they're going to kill me. I'm not going anywhere. Right at the DVO now. I want to feel safe. Yeah, often we do have to jump up and down, don't we, David? Because the victims are just not taken seriously enough.
Never, almost never. Almost never. Police will victim blame. Police will say, well, you're the one in the relationship with them.
Yeah, not enough, I guess, a total shake-up with regards to the culture. Courtney and I were speaking about this last week, but certainly you need to really jump up and down and make yourself be heard. Otherwise, it's just too easy to go to the bottom of the pile that's probably this high with statements of potential or actual domestic violence.
Yeah, lawyers can help you depending on where you're at, but lawyers can help police officers press charges and follow through with and do their jobs. Just let you people know.
Yeah, often guys, and you would know, to get to that stage where you actually walk into the police station and requesting that domestic violence order, it takes so much courage, and your self-esteem is so low, your self-worth is so low. So to get, I guess, a tired police officer who's there, greeting you at the door, and you feel kind of like an irritant, that you won't be taken seriously, and you're already just wanting to curl up in a ball and go home anyway, regretting possibly that you've gone there, because by then the abuse is, a bit of a distant memory in your mind. You're missing your abuser potentially. There's just all these factors, and where we just need a shake-up of the system, and also we need, I guess, for you guys to really dig your heels in and not leave until something happens and you feel safe and protected.
Yeah, and this has been going on for so long. I can't imagine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, David, well, we might leave it there for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. It's always fantastic having you here to co-host the show. Do you want to tell everyone how to follow you, where to find you?
Yeah, sure. Anybody watching on my end, because I'm going to air this on my channel, please follow Nova on Facebook and YouTube. I'll put the links down below down there. Please follow them and just support her some way real quick. Thank you. And you can find me at Damar's Coaching on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, do yourself a favor and subscribe to David's channel, Damar's coaching. David puts lots and lots of information or videos out there each week to help you heal. And yeah, guys, if you're wanting that little bit of one-on-one support with regard to counselling, my area of expertise is in working with victims of narcissistic abuse. Just messages me here at Brighter Outlook, and there'll be a link there to lead you to my email, which is where, just because of the sheer volume, I'm kind of like doing most of talking to people mainly is via email now. So just message me and it will tell you where to go. Yeah. So yeah, David, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Look forward to having you back in 2 weeks live from the States. You can go back to bed now.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Always. I really love this. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and supporting us in any way that you can. Thank you, Nova.
Yeah. Just before you go, David, I guess one thing David and I would ask from you is to help spread awareness and get, I guess, more help for victims, more awareness of narcissistic abuse, is to share. Just, you know, sharing is caring. I guess the saying is share wherever you can. We realize that's not always possible due to the nature of your abuse, but if you can share, that would be wonderful. And also just remember, this is a public page. You always have to, you know, I get asked this every now and then, to join a private group, you have to, as you would know, ask a question, be accepted by the I don't know, the people who run the page, and it's obviously private, so nothing's seen, but this is a public page. So if you're concerned, make sure your privacy settings are high, and I guess, or use a pseudonym that no one will be able to tell it's you. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you. We really need it. Support is good. Thanks.
Thanks for supporting us, guys. Okay, David. Thank you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Great. Thank you again. Good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, it's been amazing. It's been wonderful to be able to support you tonight. Yeah, we can never answer everyone's questions. So we just hope that perhaps you can find the answer to your question in someone else's. Don't forget, the live will always be on my timeline, Brighter Outlook Narcissistic Abuse Counselling Service. And certainly David puts them on his YouTube channel, Damar's Coaching. So you can still comment after. Yeah, so and as I said earlier, if you would like to set up a counselling session with me, please just inbox me here, and that will lead you to my email, and we can set up a session that way. It's been wonderful chatting with you guys tonight. Please take care. I will see you next Thursday night, and David will be back to co-host the show the Thursday night after that. Have an amazing week. Remember your worth, and then add tax. Bye, everyone.